Okay, here we are. We're in page Kuf Pei Gimel. Let's go just, I'm going to start I'll roll through the left column, the Achar Chacham D'Dor HaMabul, although we read at least half of it. Achar Chacham D'Dor HaMabul, V'yomu lakel su mimenu, they told God, walk away from us. V'dat drachecha lo chafatzim, we were not interested in knowing your ways. Ma Shaddai, what is the God of restriction? Ki navdenu, that we should serve him. Mano il, ki nivgabo, why is we worthy? What will we gain by praying to him? Hainu, this means to say, Ki Dor HaMabul kfar nachul hadat, Dor HaMabul already were aware. Ki ein chokhmah ve'itzar neged yicholot Hashem. They went through the trauma of a third of the civilized world flooded. They were more than aware that there's no use of that's not going to happen. He will intervene. He will intervene, and therefore there's no use of trying to get him not to intervene, but not thinking about him, not living with any God awareness and consciousness. And ultimately, as we point out, there's a healthy, normal dynamic. You don't think about God, God doesn't want to think about you. That's what the original generation thought. They knew it's not going to happen because God, he has an agenda in creation. And when man takes it where he doesn't want to go, he kicks it in the side with the spurs, and the horse goes in the right direction. So that's not going to happen. Because that's what Dor HaNosh wanted to do. They wanted to preserve a certain perception of reality, and that should last forever. They wanted a godless world with freedom. Very simple. They knew it's not going to happen, okay? Shekol yisham v'cheftzam of what? Of the Dor HaNosh. Hayal lid'oga chizuk yisod havayat olam. Their whole issue was basically to be concerned with strengthening and fortifying the fundamental existence of the world forever. It should not be annulled. Through what? Through enlightenment, because enlightenment does change the way you see things. They were simply loved, the bliss of ignorance. It's as simple as that. And they went quite hard-headed against God. They were going to force his hand. That's what it says. This already Dor HaMabul comprehended. Hashem, God has the cards, and therefore it ain't going to happen. He has an agenda, and therefore, if God doesn't want that to be, because God created the world for a reason, it's not going to happen. So it goes further. So, ulam but bao, how high? What? Bring them in. I start on time. Are there chairs out there? I suggest you bring chairs. They're very wet. Okay, so go. Go into the closet room. Yeah.
These chairs are something. These chairs what? No, it's not. This chair.
Try my best. Okay, hello. I finally start once on time, see what happens. There's sheets here. Pass them out. Can we continue? Okay. My little boy, are you seated? Eliezer, you ran away from me. Sit down. There's enough chairs, isn't there? There's enough we saw? Okay. Okay, so let's go this further. They clearly understood there's no way to force God's hand by, as I mentioned before, using the dynamic. If we will not live with his awareness, he will be less aware of us. They knew that's not going to happen. And therefore that can't happen. They came trying to get the same thing from another angle. And this is what they said. Since God did empower nature and reality, that the world leads a regular, quite bland course of existence. It's a nice, steady thing. You speak Lashon Hara, you don't get herpes. You look at the wrong thing, your eyes don't get the bloodshot. You know what I mean? Like, the schar v'einish is not something which is an immediate thing. No, the world works in a normal way. It means to say because God has a lot of patience. And why does God have patience? Because if he wouldn't have patience, there would be no possibility of really having free will. Because if you'd get hit every time you made a mistake and get a prize, every time you did something right, so everyone would do something right, and no one would do something wrong. You know, I mean, so what's the use? Like, you behave very nicely when you're in school in front of your teacher, you know what I mean? But as soon as he turns his back, that's when you go to the Yiruk room downstairs over there, man, you get drunk. Okay, you know, or things like that. When you get on the MTA bus, that's when you do what you want to do, okay? Because finally they're not there. So, you know what I mean? The only guy that knows what's happening is good old Mayor Schiller. He hops, you know what I mean? But otherwise, the other ones don't hop, and so he does what he wants to do. So it's the same thing. So God's like that. God basically gives space, allowing people to make mistakes. He's a very good father. He wants you to grow, and therefore he's going to give a lot of space, hundreds of years of space. I mean, we were, if you read Tanakh, we were terrible during Bais Rishon. Let's be honest. All the prophets he sent us, we were pagans of the worst possible degree. I mean, let's face it, he gave a lot of space. A lot of space. Until, okay, he waited 400 years. You're taking the world to the wrong place. You got kicked in the side. He sent you off to Babylon. And actually, interesting, the kick was so hard that after 70 years, he could bring you back. But then when again, he brought us back. And then for 400 years, he gave us a lot of space. If you know what happened there with the Pharisees versus the Sadducees, etc., and all the different things, B'yavnim and Tzidukim and Baitutim, we're in a bad place. Let's be honest, okay? Anybody who knows what happened during the second type of period, with greatest respect to the problem, the only problem with Sinus Chinam, read Flavius, okay? There are a lot of problems, to say the least, okay? It's true that Sinus Chinam was the reason that tipped the scales. That's what the Gemara said. Doesn't mean they were all cloistered monks. And I mean, it means to say that what tipped the scale was that. That's what it means. God has a lot of patience. But you know, that which tipped the scale, this, if you had this, Maral writes this, or Bircha B'Torah Tchila. That's why they destroyed the second temple, because they didn't say Bircha Torah. God Almighty, Machlekes Bavi Yerushalmi, even when it's the Raisa or not. Okay, the Rambam Paskins, it's the Rabbanan, the Ramban Paskins, it's the Raisa. So for goodness sakes, like, relax on me. The Maral says, no, if you would have had that added schus of a Bircha Torah, it would have, the scales wouldn't have been tipped. And you would have made it, you know, with the skin of your teeth, but you would have made it. The problem is we didn't have that extra schus which is needed, which is chibas HaTorah, and therefore, boo, it went down and lit again, but it took 400 years till it happened. Now what would seem to be, he's really giving us a lot of space. He says, let's see if you can fix things. And well, the space. No, he's still giving us time to fix things. He says, what's going to happen? He says at the end of the days, by the time if you're not going to fix things, if he's going to bring the geula. Well, if he brings the geula before we fix it, it means, okay, you're a bunch of failures, but I have an agenda, so I'm bringing it. Okay, so I will reprogram you. What does that mean? That's failure. Okay, I want you to understand, you know, the achishana is, wow, if we succeed, Be'ita means to say you didn't bring it, so it's going to come because that's my plan for history, okay? It's a little bit to that kavod, to get intervention when you were supposed to have done it on your own. And I'm trying to say God gives a lot of time. When you talk about time that God gives for people to make mistakes and to grow, to become motivated, to change, to do their thing, he gives a lot of space, okay? So they understood the same thing. They figured, you know what? Okay. We can't living with this religious, overwhelming reality is just too much to handle. We discussed it at length. I don't want to explain it now again. Okay? Okay. And we know we can't force him out of our lives. Okay. Granted. But he gives us space. Do we have a few hundred years worth of enjoyment? Yeah. So my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren will have a problem. We'll worry about then, so to speak. You know what I mean? If you understand the generation, the idea of caring about children is not really part of their agenda. If you recall, we did this on Saturday night. Yeah, Children are the price you pay for a few moments of pleasure. It's similar to the society in Egypt, which has no qualms of drowning one-day-old babies. And that's why there's a lot of pchirish in every house, because that's why zirmasusim zirmasam, they have no sense of continuity in history, and therefore a child is just the stuff that, okay, aborted. Women's rights, etc. It's very similar to the societies we're in today. So if that would be the case, so therefore, Mamela, they really care about the future. If you live totally in the present, you don't really care about the future. The old saying is, Jesus saves, but Moses invests. Moses thinks about the future. You can save. You go, it's a dime store, a dime bank, you save. You have to invest. But to invest, you have to think with zikaron. You have to think ahead. You have to think further. You're living today, taking into account further. People who live on the today alone, that's the mitzvah. That's the balei taiva that live totally with today without tomorrow. So this is what we're talking about here. So based on Mabo say, okay, so let's party now. It's going in 400 years ago it's going to go? Okay. So what? And that's what it says. זאת כבר הבינו דור המבוש הכל ביד השם, אולם באו מצד אחר ואמרו, אחר שניתן כוח בטבע להיות עולם כמנהגו נוהג בכל אותו העת שהשם יתברך מנהיג באריכות אפיים, נשיאות פנים לאדם, he shows a fine face, he's חן, נויסר חן. He's nice to man, שנמשך מזה כוח פעולה לפי שעה, therefore temporarily man has freedom. Yeah, God does not intervene. He gives you a lot of freedom. Everybody, you can extend yourself in any way you want. Do you want to have a cheeseburger on Yom Kippur? Believe me, your teeth will not fall out if you do it. You won't fall out, I'm telling you right now. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's for you to have bchira, to make a conscious decision of values, not because you're not do it because you're afraid you can get herpes. Okay? You may get acid indigestion, that's something else, but nothing to do with the sin. Well, that's because of the quality of what you'll be eating. But it's not going to happen. So you really have koyach lispashet laharchiv koychi v'otzivyoda ba'olim kechol yecholtoi lefi sharishus netuna le'ein ha'adam. He's inferring something very, very harsh here, but I'm not going to explain it. There's two. I have to find this in more of a different setting. When he said, what does that sentence mean? For man has free will, at least so he perceives. No, he's alluding to that the world, as we describe, I'll just say it in a simple way, but really this is the Iggy Yesod of Ishbitz. We experience the world through, as I mentioned already in past time, through our five senses, through our way of thinking. Our thinking is we internalize the world through our senses, etc. And very true. In that perception of reality, there is a sense that I am existent and God is there, and there's a distance between us, and we bridge the gap by doing Torah and mitzvahs. Is that not true? I want to get close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Is that what you usually say? Is that the word you say? You'd love to have him on a pinup, but he's not in a picture. That would be the problem. Okay? But, that's your idea, right? So you're talking a certain language or perceiving things in a certain way. It's a shtickle like Dibur Torah Koloshim Ne'odam, the way we talk. Not a shtickle, it's a lot like Dibur Torah Koloshim Ne'odam, Ukemavur B'mor Nevuchim, what that means. But that is basically the way of, we think and experience the world around us, don't we? A sense of distance and the capability of bridging the gap through Torah and mitzvahs. And ultimately, we'll get close to God, and we'll be Dovek B'Shechina, okay? And that's the Olam HaGemur, where tzaddikim yoshvim at Teresem Beresan, v'nen in Miziv HaShechina. That's basically, now, is this an objective truth, or is this the objective truth within the subjective reality of human perception? That's a question. Well, once we understand that truth is relative to the consciousness of man, vis-a-vis his five senses, if hypothetically you would have another, I'm going to give an example. Let's say I mentioned to somebody this week, what happens if you only had the sense of sight and even, hearing would be okay, but you would not have any sense of touch, wouldn't have any sense of touch, and you saw a candle next to a mirror. Would you tell me it's a candle and a reflection, or would you say there are two candles there? need someone to volunteer his intelligence. Kiva, you're a bright kid. You had no other sense you could.
wouldn't sense that there's a mirror.
You had no touch.
You wouldn't sense there's a mirror.
Touch is meaningless. You wouldn't have that sense if you didn't have the sense of touch.
See, you think there are two candles.
You would think, or it would be two
It
candles.
would be two candles too. As far as your sight is concerned.
But that's all there is. So you would say there are two candles. And in a world which has only sight, there really are two candles. Because everything is within the context of how you take in the information. If your information is through five senses, then no, that's a candle with a reflection. But if hypothetically you only had sight, there would be two candles. That would be the existence of two candles. You would have no way of saying otherwise. That would be your truth. If you get, the Indian lady's middle eye, wow, then you're really going to see something else. Can you imagine at the moment, like you know, dogs have much better listening than we do. Anybody ever own a dog here? No one raises a hand? I owned a dog. Okay, you know what a dog whistle is?
Yeah.
It's a very high-pitched sound that human beings still can't hear. Dogs do. And if you hear it, that means, okay? At the end of the day, it's a very high-pitched sound, and you're not supposed to be hearing that. So they live in a much noisier world than you. Do you ever see bees get nervous? I still remember once walking in South Africa on the way from Our Sameach back to Corbel Crescent over there, and all of a sudden, on the trees, and the bees were going crazy. So I said, what happened? It's probably some ultraviolet light. That's what happens. They see ultraviolet light. They see purple, okay? They go bananas. If you would see purple all of a sudden, you'd also go a bit nervous, okay? So their nervous system is a bit tighter and they get nervous, that's all. You don't see ultraviolet light. If you would, believe me, you wouldn't like it, okay? So they have a much more color, they have like a kaleidoscope. That's what if you would experience a kaleidoscope, you'd also get nervous. Did you ever see one of these kaleidoscope things? Okay, so you see a kaleidoscope, you get nervous. Okay, you hear a lot of noise, you get nervous. Okay, so dogs suddenly bark sometimes because they hear things. You think it's very quiet. Why are they barking? Stam matzbani. Lo stam matzbani, mashu matzben oto. Okay, he has songs that you don't hear. He sounds like Joan the Arc. He sees things you don't see, hears things you don't hear. Okay, it's true. Now, Nevi'im, the Havdil, right? Nevi'im have I would call the middle eye, if you may say, a different tools of taking in information, very sensitized. They definitely see things you don't see, and they definitely hear things you don't hear. So their world is totally different than yours. They live in another world. Is your world more real than their world? No, your world is defined by the tools of internalizing information. Their world is defined by, they're all living, geographically you may be the same place, but you're living at different levels of consciousness. Should you experience ever a mind-expanding experience, you will suddenly, believe me, see colors that you never saw before, okay? These chemical inducive, if I may say, okay? It's a different world. It's geographically in the same place. But it's another reality. It's another metzius. It's very clear that we look at things subjectively. Therefore, understand one thing. Free will, Torah, mitzvahs, getting close to God, they're all truths within the subjective existence of man through his five senses. What will be the relation between God and man when you will literally experience, ein oid milvadoi? It means total nullification of the word I, the idea of distance, the idea of anything outside of God would be incomprehensible. So the whole metzius of avodah won't exist anymore. Because the whole avodah is to take that which is far to bring it close. But that's all when you feel there's God is the Shamayim, Shamayim L'Hashem, Ba'aretz Natan L'Bnei Adam. Now build ladders and bridges. Or bring the heaven to the earth, or raise the heaven, la'alot, lo'orid, whatever the usage for all the good Chassidish form, right? I know them, okay? Right. It's all true as long as you don't get another eye over there. It's true within a subjective reality of a world of five senses. It's very true. Is it a dream? No. God created that awareness. That's called creating the world. When he created the world, he created a certain way of internalizing it through these tools. Think of the world not just some physical phenomenon, because I hope your world includes ideas. And they're not physical phenomena. Okay? Therefore, it means world, it means perceptions, ideas. Surah, we discussed that today. Okay? Not just chomer. Okay? World of ideas, your whole language, your whole encountering the world around you, everything is ideas. Okay, they're not spatial, they don't take space. So what are we talking about? We're talking about those ideas are conjured up how? By experiencing the world around you through your five senses, conceptualizing it, ultimately having a great box of ideas, and that's how you're encultured and see so many things and everywhere. But it's what you see all comes from how you sense reality. Should you be zayche to sense the idea of ein oid milvadoi? It's a world which has the world I ceases to exist. Not an idea, bend you down. No. The word I as a separate entity ceases to exist. The only experience you will have is the experience of expression of God. You'll feel like, so to speak, like when you sit in the movie house, in the old movie house, so we know the old guy in the back, you have to read this guy's book, Illusions, to understand what I'm saying. What's his name? Oh, Richard Bach. Wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Okay, so you got this great book called Illusions. Write it down. Okay? You got to read this. So this is a mushal I picked up from him years ago. You know, the old guys in the old movie houses in Missouri. Okay, the old guy, the bald guy with the dirty Cardinals hat, not a Yankee in Missouri. Okay, you know what I mean? And and he's sitting over there with this old reel with the movie house, and he's like shooting the light through the celluloid film. So he just looking there, man. Yeah, what is he? He sees light and he sees film, and he understands the film is nothing more than a filter of the light, which thus creates artificial images on a screen. So he's not exactly salivating when he sees Gone with the Wind, because he knows the reality the way it is. But the people in the audience where it's dark, where the Olam Adimyan is chai v'kayim, because the lights are closed for that purpose, for you to live in the world of La La Land, you know, not to look at, you know, you can't look at the way it is, because then, what did we see? Oh, we are seeing light reflection to a filter. That's interesting. And, okay, think if you see, it doesn't really do much for me. No, but if you see, no, I don't see that. I don't see the source. I see the picture. So I give it translation. Oh, that's, you know, you get all nervous, and there you have it. You eat your popcorn, and you gain weight, and whatever else you do over there, because you're into it. Like it's a kol olam kula is there. All of a sudden, if you think for 2 minutes like the old guy in the back, you'd laugh at yourself. No, because you're experiencing it differently. He has another perception of reality where he sees where this is coming from. Therefore, realize that's not really some X or Y, without going into the particulars. That's nothing more than light through a filter. That's what it is. Okay? So what's the difference? That's the mice of what it is. Okay? But the light through the filter in certain types of filters create images, and the images you look, they say, oh, that's like the olam kulay, and that's why you start salivating, I don't know, and doing stupid things. So the answer is very simple. Can you imagine? So the only reason you have bechira because you don't see, you're not the old man in the back. The old man in the back, he doesn't get nervous about the movie, unless he decides to go brain dead, not seeing the machine. You understand? But if he lives with a sensitivity, this is the real thing, and that's just for the idiots that don't have eyes, okay, then he would know. Okay, he would live differently. He would experience it differently. We live in a different way of reality, and there we have free will, and there is distance, there's a me and there's a you. What happens when the day will come when we will all go to the back room of the movie house and we'll all experience Ein Oid Milvadoi, and nothing anymore is Or Hashem through Tzimtzumim. That's literally the light through the cellulite filter. Okay? There's nothing more but Or Hashem through Tzimtzumim. Believe me, the word I ceases to exist, the word avodah ceases to exist, the word free will ceases to exist. So you have free will within the consciousness of your separateness from God. But it's not like Descartes. It's not you're dreaming. That is reality. But there are different levels of reality. Just like different realities of understanding Chumash, Pshat, Remez, Shesod. There's different reality. There's different oilamists. There's oilam Atzilus, Bri, Yitzira, and Asiya. You're living in oilam Abri and in oilam Asiya. There's Bchira. Believe me, in oilam Abriya, there's no. In oilam Atzilus, there's definitely no Bchira. Okay? Oilam means levels of perception. You're not holding there. And if you would, you'd probably go crazy. You probably would. You would. You'd be committed. If you have a totally different perception of reality, the odds are that your nervous system is falling apart. I mean, no one's crazy. Crazy means to say you are living a life which is not proportionate to the normal tools that you have, and therefore you're creating psychotic fantasies. Okay, that's not proportionate to the tools you have, so that you need help. Okay, your brain's fried. Okay, that is a not healthy situation. God wants us to be healthy. God wants us to live in this world. God wants us to experience this world and to know that there's more. He doesn't expect you to experience Olam Atzilus here, believe me. You know, as the Kotzker says, Bלכמן and Strafim, he has plenty. He needs human beings here. Okay? He doesn't want you to be a Malach and a Straf. You would have been one. He doesn't want you to be a Malach and a Straf. He wants you to be an Adam. An Adam means living with the Metzias of Adam and trying to get closer, build the bridges, and all that. So in honest truth, in the purest philosophical truth, Bchira, this sentence is actually mamish exact. Bchira hu le'ein ha'adam. It has to do with the perceptions of how man sees reality. And the more and more you will, if one day the world will suddenly see things differently, get another eye and see things like in Olam Atzilus, the Taka won't experience free will. You won't experience the word I. There won't be experience of the word of distance. The whole mitzvahs of mitzvahs can't exist because the mitzvah demands a mitzvah, a mitzvah, and a bridge called a mitzvah. Commander, commanded, and a commandment. Okay? But if there's no differentiation, there's no identity outside of the mitzvah, so what's the mitzvah? It becomes meaningless. When will this happen? Nothing to do with anything you know about. You know, we'll probably not be there. Okay? But whatever it is, that's the end. It's way, way, way past Mashiach. Way, way, way past it. That's another Metzias totally. Okay, nothing to do with anything we're talking about at the moment. Okay, so this is what the Rebbe says when he says, this is how he explains the dichotomy between Bechira and Yediyah. I want you to understand. Those who know what I'm talking about, good. If not, I'm moving on. He basically sees them existing at two different planes. They're not sois to each other. They exist in truth at two different planes. Remember, just put it in your minds, inhale it. And I'll explain it one day. Weiter. So this is what he says. This is a very important lashon, where he writes, "Lefisha shouldn't do not le'ein ha'adam." That le'ein really should be underlined. Lechein, in other words, lechein. Therefore, since they're aware that the experience that they have plenty of time and plenty, they know they can really do what they want. Hayu merutzim litpashet b'chol otoed. They were quite happy to extend themselves freely without restrictions for that all period of time until God loses patience, which is a few hundred years. You see it in the Hediah and the Chumash at the end of Parashat Berashit. God says, okay, these guys are enough. Okay, there ain't no way, you know, I'm going to erase them. But you know what? I'm going to give them another 120 years. So he writes, you know, he really wanted to erase them 120 years earlier. But God says, you know, I'm going to give them another 120 years. Maybe they'll do tshuva. Really? Patience. The patience is unbelievable. He said that 120 years before the Mabul. The end of Parashat Berashit. I don't know. I gotta get rid of this. And then he says, but read Rashi there. Okay, I'm not going to go crazy with them. I'm giving you 120 years more to do tshuva. So, got patience. That's what I'm trying to say. He had a lot of patience. He waited and waited and waited. As I said sometime in the recent past, God believes in us much more than we believe in ourselves. He actually is willing to believe, yet maybe they'll do tshuva. Although, it's frightening to think of it. He really does believe in humanity. So he got a lot of patience. So he says, they really weren't concerned that their perception of reality should exist perpetually. No, we don't care about it. Because again, a Baal Taiva doesn't think about tomorrow. We're going to live good, that's what counts. Weiter. You realize when God takes his midos and brings them up to the top level, and it's enough, okay? The cups are full, okay? They know at that point in time, this whole sense of reality will be annulled, because God will intervene, as he actually did in the Mabel, you know that. Yidbatlu, they will totally be annulled, right? They're quite happy to live a temporal existence. I hate to say it, it is totally the life we're in today. I do not believe that taking into account modern day lifestyle, diet, recreational activities, people care that much to live that long. Oh yeah, we have very good hospitals and we do medical care, but the lifestyle that people live and the recreation that they are part of their lives definitely is very detrimental to long, healthy life. Let's be very honest, okay? It's not just detrimental, it's detrimental, it's being nice, okay? People are committing suicide with the way, what they're eating, what they're smoking, whatever they're experiencing. Let's be very honest. Why? You're very intelligent. Yeah, but I don't care about eat and drink today, for tomorrow we will die, is actually the name of the game here. Okay, that's what people are doing. Eat and drink and be married. This is totally the idea found in Greece, I mentioned, through Epicurean and Cynicism. They were two philosophers which really believed that there's no use looking for meaning. Who says there is meaning? Let's have a party now. Whatever happens, happens. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. You know what I mean? That's the three. I think this is contemporary society. It's really contemporary society. They're not living a lifestyle which thinks too much about the next day. You think about your health. You think about so many different things. I can't get over it. I once saw an advertisement here. There was a campaign here not to smoke. So normally you say don't smoke because, you may end up with asthma, emphysema, cancer, Those are the lots of things. So this thing was, no, if you smoke, you'll be impotent. And I'm looking at this saying, that's it. Do you understand? That's what people care about, because that's going to get to now. Do you realize how when I look at this, is where is society if that's what's needed? You actually may die. No, but you may end up using that little blue pill. Oy, choli levachad. That's the end of the thing, Pastor. That ain't gonna happen. That's like boo, boo, boo. Think of what society is. It's obviously reflective of society. When I saw it, it destroyed me. It says, where am I? That this is the language needed for people not to kill themselves with these things. You think of where you're at. So everything I read here is not like biblical. It's very contemporary. People don't care about the future. They barely care about tomorrow. They care about their pleasure and the today. And that's what he says. So he says, Mefurish, he says, they were willing to live temporal lives and to extend themselves however they wanted, with all their urges. They had no ways of restricting themselves. And they'll be okay. The party will end, and when it ends, it ends. Okay? They did not want to connect to the name Shakai. What's Shakai? Shin Dalad Yud is Shamar La'olamo Dai. That's the name Shaddai. Shaddai means Shamar La'olamo Dai. The Medrash says in Beraishis that the world, when it was created, was like two balls of yarn, which was opening up. So to speak, a lot of raw material, and it could have been so much more. And God says, okay, enough, boys. Consciousness cannot go that low. The lowest level of consciousness is the one we perceive. If we would have gone even lower, there would have been a very hard time of doing avodah. Okay, if oilam means levels of awareness, I think I explained that a million times, okay? Well, the oilam has to stop. You know, if all of a sudden you're experiencing a serious idea which is further and further away from Elokus, it's going to be a very hard climb up. So it stopped here. It stopped with oilam ma'asiyah. It didn't go lower than that, although some people experience it in a very low way. But overall, the perceptual reality is something which you can start working. It's like a ladder, literally moving consciousness from Asiya to Yetzira to Bria to Atzilus. If you learn the Sidurim of the Ari, he discusses that. So this is what we're talking about over here. Lo ratzu le'echad b'shem Shaddai. Why? Hamoreh al tzimtzum v'itkalut hamidot. Shaddai means restriction. It means like cut off. Don't extend yourself. What does hitkalut hamidot mean? Hitkalut hamidot means as follows. When a person is expressive, so he's expressing a certain part of himself. When a person is not expressive, he's restricted, so all the midos are just there in potential. And they're all, your persona is now basically, well, you're not active, so everything's in potential. And what you have is, therefore, all your midos interact with each other. But as soon as, let's say, you decide to do something, so there's going to be X midos are going to be very active, and other midos will be dormant at the time, okay? Because not all of you is expressed in everything you do. So when we talk about lack of a restrictive persona, is a person which is midos can converge and merge together because he's not so expressive. He's more living in a world of seichel than in the world of pu'ula. Okay? So he says, Shaddai means constrict yourself. No, go back. Go back into yourself as much as possible. That's what he says. Hamoral tzimtzum v'tkalut hamidot. Kidei, why did it not be on Adiyat? Yes, if they would have done that, they would have been able to create a world which actually is perpetual in existence. If you live in a world of ruchnius, that's going to be forever. It'll just get better. It'll just get enhanced. It won't be buttle. It'll graduate. It'll grow. Okay, but when you live a world with shakor b'chomer, that's not going to last. Like many people's worlds go, if all your world is your chitzonius, look, you're all nice-looking boys, and you probably all have hair, mostly hair on your head. I want to tell you something. Say what you want. I was also a lanky, skinny boy, and a very big bush of hair on my head. Used to have used 4 pins to keep my yarmulke down. Okay, I'm bald, a raspy frog's voice, a pot belly. So you're all going to be the same. I tell this to the ladies in Nishmat too. Okay. You're all going to have curlers and go to laundry, you know what I mean? Don't think, your Botox not going to help you. Okay? It's the same thing here. So get used to it. Get used to it. I'm not joking when I say this. Get used to it. Think about more than the today. And if they only want to think about today, well, that's the Ramabel. So this is what he says. You can live a world which will always be. Get yourself into a world which never ends. World, the 20 volumes. I have to tell you what the books are. There's a bunch of books there that they're like this silver spaceship in the sky, and they take you to cool worlds, okay? I tell you, my father always used to tell me, the Maram always says, Makshin ha'olam. Says that's the only world you're supposed to be in. People ask those kashas. Makshin ha'olam. I promise you, in Fifth Avenue, they don't ask that question. The Maram says, Makshin ha'olam. Which olam is he talking about? Makshin ha'olam. Today, typical yeshiva bocher doesn't ask those questions. It's not chefza gavra and chalais. It's pshat and taisvus. So they don't ask that question anymore. So my Abiyah said, Mendel should always live only in that world, in the world of the Maram. That olam is where you're supposed to be there, not anywhere else. So that I'm telling it to you now, that's the world which exists forever. Masha'enken, the world, they didn't want that. They could have. If you're oiches b'shakai and iskalus amidus, you live in the world of seichel, you can create a olam, a biyin ad. Now he says, V'eshamru b'shas brings the Gemara in Sanhedrin Kuf Yitches to Amabel and Nechtam Zardinam ad shepashti yedem begezel. Shenema ki malah ha'aretz chamas b'pnehem v'ini meshchita. And it is quite problematic because we see the description of where they were at the end of Parashat Berashit. They were decrepit. We discussed this on Motzei Shabbos. We discussed this. I remember discussed the Ramabel. If you remember, Toivis Heina Ichon. They were. The moral decay was beyond. Pin Gezel is their problem. Alavai, that should be the issue. Gezel, a bit of a cheat, sounds like a Fermiyud. But you know what I mean? But they're like a million places further from that. So why did they decide Gezel? So what are you going to say? There's so many others, but Gezel is Barash. Does that make sense? You have so many things happening. So put the Gezel because you use your boss's phone for 3 minutes during your job. Just press the Gezel, okay? Or use the stapler, Shalom Bershus, and you took some staples, even Gezel, Balshav, Prutas, and Isser, okay? That's all Gezel, okay? I got news for you. Kulam beGezel, okay? Okay, but that's the problem. Gezel is a yeshiva shemachla. It's like Lashon Hara. You know what I mean? Bittul Torah. There's certain things which are yeshiva which are mutter. The heter of Rav Huna. Kivin she'over adam v'shana boy nasas like a heter. So this has the hechsher of Rav Huna. It's a memory of Rav Huna in the Gemara. Omer Rav Huna. Kivin she'adam over aver v'shana boy nasas like a heter. No, the Gemara says nasas like heter. The Gemara heter kasal kedaitach ela keheter. So at least according to the Havamina, you have a hechsher of Rav Huna. You know, that's what it looks like. So watch this. So he explains. Medrash Rabbah saw malei avonot. You have a measurement full of sins. Mimi katreg barosh. Which is the most vocal aveira which screams, persecute him. Gezel. Shenemar ubitzam beresh kulam. There's Betza is Geneva. Betzea berch near Hashem and the Sanhedrin here. Betza is Lashon Geneva. Betzea bitzam beresh kulam. Their thievery is on top of it all. We say that in Ne'ilah. In the piyut of Ne'ilah, we say we shouldn't be caught. Be'oshik yadeinu. We say before in Tfilas Nida, we know we're really up the creek without a paddle. We hope that our oishik yadayim, the fact that we have put our fingers in someone else's kitty, shouldn't tip the scales for us, and we should be go downstream. Look up the Tefillah and Nila. That's what it says. Honesty is no joke, and I'm talking about again, especially people that that go to places of work, etc. Free usage of phone, paper, stapler, pens, things which are common in the office, but no one asked Al Pidin Ayu Moichel. And the department head can't be moichel. You have to ask the boss. And even the boss, if it's a corporation, he has to have a decision of the board. I know how to tell it to you. There ain't no mechilis. It's a prostic zayla. Okay, and this has to be understood. And it also has to deal with damaging furniture in a dormitory, etc. For chulu. Gezel is it's very common avera. And that's the avera which is, what does it mean over here though? But why here? So he says something unbelievable here, which is very special. They actually had a way of life of total expansion of the self. And lefi shabbat, knowing it was only temporary. We discussed that. They lived no restrictions. They had no interest of thinking or seeing what will happen later, and let's try to fix that reality should exist. So naturally, the word I versus you ceases to exist. I'm going to see what it means. Here's something to be understood. Why do you think most people respect laws? The common interest. Common interest, why? Because we all do want that the society should continue. For example, I want my children, my grandchildren also to live in a prosperous world, so I'm not going to destroy the waters of Israel because I do want generations later to have what to drink. We're very concerned with the Social Security in America because the baby boomers, now there's a problem because we're trying to do something to protect the future generations. You know this across the board. If you know, society always thinks for the future. And because of that, it creates restrictions and obligations. What happens if no one cares about tomorrow? So then the word society ceases to exist because society by definition is something where people band together because they have a common interest. But if you're nothing more than a self-centered, pleasure-seeking person, you really have no common interest with anybody else because your taivas are not his and his are not yours. The dominant consideration is me. And that's the type of consideration that goes extremely. We'll do, as I said before, how they went to the extent of af zocher, af behema, af eshesish. There were no restrictions. Everything exists to supply me. They didn't have the restriction, well, if I steal his wife, he'll steal mine. Take it. It's literally shali, shecha, shecha shali, 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 shecha shali, and everyone was saying it. There's no restrictions at all, because if everything is there, if you have money, the word you ceases to exist as far as I'm concerned. I have no reason to restrict myself from you. If I will enjoy that money, I will take it. If I will enjoy your dog, I will take it. I enjoy your son, I will take it. Enjoy your wife, I will take it. Isn't that what the Chumash says? These people had no restrictions. There was no moral qualms, and there was no reason to even create anything. Much of our morality is based on self-preservation. We feel guilty about certain things because we don't want them to happen. Okay? I'm not going in, this is not now a study on the basis of morals, but you think for 2 minutes why certain things are perceived immoral today, and certain things are still perceived moral. Actually, 15, 20 years ago, there are many more things which were perceived immoral. Society has certain interests and doesn't care about X, so now it's moral. But they're still worried about Y, and since I'm being photographed here, I don't want to elaborate. They're still worried why. There's a why. And why still is perceived as immoral. Wait till it changes too. Okay, but there's things which are immoral. There's a social convention which will change. It depends on what affects their comfort zone and how they want to live. That's what this all is. Once you've come to the low level, I don't care about anything, and there is no tomorrow. It's only now, me, and that's all. So the word yours ceases to exist. That's what he's saying. So he's basically saying, again, the same reason for the hedonistic pleasure, etc., is that which destroys all limitations, and naturally, therefore, theft is meaningless. Theft only means to say the money is for you and my money is for me, but if you understand everything in this world is for me, he's very firm. Okay, so Yitaka holds that way. Yitaka holds that. So he uses whatever he wants. So this is how these people lived. And that's why naturally, why would you think there was no restrictions when it came to sexual behavior, and there are restrictions as far as money is concerned? The same type. This is taivus a moment. This is taivus rise. That's what he says. Ki kol echad hibit rak letovat atzmo la'archiv koach hitpashtuto ad efes makom megvul. There was no place. They had no concern about creating a functioning society. You know, society had fallen apart. It's a bunch of people having a party. It sounds literally, this is Fellini's Rome. This is Achashverosh's party at the time. Everyone, that's all this was. It was an ongoing party. Okay? So therefore, when you talk about gazel being, because gazel doesn't just mean stealing, it means lacking a sense of gvulot, lacking a sense of restriction, stemming from self-centeredness. Yes, self-centeredness, the world of taiva we discussed, that basically is the world of no restriction. That kicks God out of the picture. There's no more ideals, no more values. There's nothing, not even the value of a perpetually existent society. No, I always remember Reb Chaim used to talk about this, the famous Gemara in Tainus. You know, the Jews have a Rip Van Winkle. It's called Chani Amago. Do you know who Rip Van Winkle was? Okay, we have the famous Gemara. The Gemara says that there's a man, a Tana called Choni. He used to make circles and stand in them and say, God, I'm not walking out of here until you give rain. And somehow God wanted him to walk out, so he gave rain. So he's called Choni Amagel. He's a Tana, a very big man. So the Gemara says that he was once driving with his donkey, and he saw this person planting a carob tree. He's an old person. Says, this, I don't understand, it takes 70 years to give payers. I don't know the tree, so that's what he says. Unless there's different types of carobs, a different period of time. That tree says, you can only give carobs in 70 years from now. Why are you planting it? You're not going to be here. So the man said, my grandfather planted for me, and I'm planting for my grandchildren. Okay, Choni became tired, and he laid his donkey was there, and he laid himself down for rest. He woke up 70 years later. I say Reb Van Winkle. He woke up. Now, is this fact or metaphor? I don't go into it. 70. Well, the Gemara sounds like fact. You see in 2 minutes. He lived there for 70 years. How that's physically possible? If not alpines, it's impossible. But he slept for 70 years, and when he woke up, first of all, he saw his donkey had a whole mishpacha, Baruch Hashem, because the donkey found a shidduch, and there was a whole mishpacha there. Then he looks, he sees someone's eating from the tree. So he says, what do you mean? What are you doing here? He says, oh yeah, my grandfather planted it 70 years ago. And that's the Gemara. The Gemara then says it's interesting, Gemara, Reb Chaim spent a long time explaining it. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And then the Gemara says he went into town and went to a Bismedrash. And there were two people arguing, Pshat and Choni Amagel. You understand? It's like, I can see it now, like two people argue what I said in Shir. I know exactly what that means. Okay? Two people were arguing, Pshat and Choni Amagel. So he says, what's your problem? I'll explain to you. Who are you, old man? I'm Choni Amagel. He says, yeah, and I'm Kayin. You know what I mean? You're Choni Amagel. He died 70 years ago. They looked at him and says, do me a favor, old man. You've been smoking. So basically, he went out, and he realized he'll never be able to have a society. He said to God, take me away from here. My generation is gone. No one here can connect to me. Take me away. And he died. The Gemara ends, Hainu da'amre insha. This is what people say, oy chavrusa, oy misusa. Either friends equals society or death. A very interesting Gemara. So I'll just tell you one line that Reb Chaim said then, which always took me. Reb Chaim said, ich verstehe nicht. Choni Amagel walks in. He has what to say. Let him just open his mouth, and they would have heard what he said. They should have gone, wow, what's the difference? He's Choni or Zalman Shimon. He would have opened his mouth. Well, been a knack in the kashir. They should have ran after him, put in the Moitzah Dela Torah. I don't know, whatever they would have done. How come? So Reb Chaim says, no. He says, every generation has its teachers. He says, Reb Kivega, I remember Reb Chaim saying this, Reb Kivega will come to the Mir Yeshiva and say Shekloli, he won't have 10 people. He says, I say a shir, I have a bris medrash. So he said, every door has its teacher. He says, Choni Amagel could have opened his mouth from day to tomorrow, it wouldn't have helped him. That's why he was lonely. Oy chavrusa, oy misusa. It's unbelievable you say that. I heard from Reb Chaim, I'll never forget it. We used to be a small group to hear a special shmooze every Friday night. That's when he said it, in his house. That was like, wow. I'll never forget that. Dor shav. Ed. You know what I mean? That's what he said. Reb Kivega will come, he won't have an idol. A bit cynical about that, but yeah, that's what he said. He said in Reb Kivega, Reb Kivega won't have an idol. Ich, Chaim Shmonevitz, I have an idol. Well, he had an idol. He had a big idol. But that's the way it was. You understand? The big sight. That's the story of Choni Amagel. I got into that for one thing only. Yes, we live, Chaim also said, we don't live for ourselves, we live for our grandchildren. We live for the future. That's why Choni slept. Because he didn't understand, why are you planting the carob tree? You're going to die. And this guy told him, yes, but we don't plant for ourselves, we plant for our grandchildren. You know what? He had to go to sleep and wake up to see it, to understand that life is not for you, it's for the continuance of reality. Big yisoid. And that's what's said over here. That's what Dor Mabel is. They couldn't care less. Vika asher matzinu behepech. Now this is an unbelievable piece. Just as we see here that gazel and self-centeredness is the yisoid of all religious failure, he says, mitzvah v'aftarach kamaycha adraba. Total love of the other, total opposite of self-centeredness, hu klal kol ha-mitzvahs kulam. So if gazel is the self-centeredness, the olam hataiva, not caring about anybody else, is the shorish of kol nefila, adraba. Totally, v'aftarach kamaycha, he says, is klal kol ha-torah kula. Ked'isa b'shas Shabbos, lamed aleph. Now that's interesting, because the Lashon of the Mishnah, Rebbe Kiva says, he says, Madi sani lach, lechavach loy tavid. Zoi kol ha-torah kula, that's Hillel. Madi sani lach, he didn't say v'aftarach kamaycha. But the answer, if you open up the Ramban, al Torah, he says that's the pshat in Rav Shach Kamaycha. Open Ramban, Rav Shach Kamaycha, the three pshatim over there, read it. See, it doesn't mean love everybody like you love yourself. There's no way you could. He says to the extent, at least don't be sad when good things happen to him. That's how low he brings it down. There's probably more, but he brings it to the lower stage. Don't, תפרגן למישהו. איך אומרים בעברית? Like, things are going good for him. Don't be sad about it. You should be happy about it, okay? Okay, so he says, the Lashon of the Gemara is, Madasani lach, whatever you don't want to happen to you. Don't do that. That which you don't want to happen to you, don't do it to your friend. And that's also a pirush, according to the Rebbe over here, in Rav Shach Kamaycha. I'm just showing the Ramban also makes it lower. He's doing the same thing. Zui ka Torah kula, v'idach pirushu zil Gemara. Now, l'chayr it's a pella. What was Hillel? He was a con artist. The man came, wants to know the Kol Torah b'regel achas. So Shammai told him, you're an idiot. Get away from here. He took the Amas HaBinyan, he took the beam of the building, he says, get out of here, we're all going to knock you. You're results of the Torah. You really think that Judaism can work with standing on one foot in a one-liner? What do you think this is? Some kind of a machine? There's no such thing. Hillel did, but wasn't he conning him? You really think Rav Shach Kamaycha is called Torah Kula? What about the Pigla and Neusser? It's also Rav Shach Kamaycha. What about tzitzis and tefillin? It's also Rav Shach Kamaycha. I can understand Choshen Mishpat. Different source Rav Shach Kamaycha. I can understand certain chlokim and arachaim. And shtikli your day also. I can understand Nicham Avel. I can understand quite a few halachas. What does chaylev and snapper v'kaskeses have to do with Rav Shach Kamaycha? The klal kol Torah kula, it's very nice if you sound like the other religion that looks at the moral aspect of Torah without the legal aspect of Torah. Well, we incorporate both, if you recall. Like we still believe in the Old Testament from Sinai. You know that. So what are you doing here? What's he doing? Is he like? Is that what he is? He's trying to say the ikar of Torah, the morals and the ethics, and not the law. You have no idea, because I can really play a historical game here as far as dating you. That would sound terrible. That would sound atrocious, because it's really neutering the truth. It's cutting away the truth. It's not emes. Is he conning him? Figuring, I'll tell him something nice, he'll become Jewish, then I'll put the load on him. Tell him the truth. Tell him that, like Bezdin says, Bnei Yisos Chufim, Bzuyim, and there's Abba Mishas Bezdin, there's Malchus, this is the way it is. That's the Lashon Ram Mishur Bia. Bezdin's supposed to tell a ger, before you do this, understand what you're getting into. This is like, like a cesspool. It's a problem, it's pretty painful. So, he says, he sounds right, all you do is love. That's all you have to do. And the rest, don't worry about it. It's when they wake up in the jingle jangle morning that comes after those, where am I? Is that what he was doing? Was he conning him? You must have been bothered by the question. And you don't really think that, expiration is what counts. He's a Tana. It's a Tana. You won't tell him the truth? Does that say, Indian to be Megayer someone? Don't be Megayer. Adrabah. You have to be an Indian to be Megayer. You don't be Megayer. What's he saying? Al Kochi saying in emes. At what level can that be true? That's a very strong question. I need you to think about it, and I am now stopping, and we will continue this, obviously, next week or whatever it be. I need you to think about it and then give me an answer. You want to understand what's written here anyway.